What up, everyone? It's your boys from the Real Marks of Long Island. Today it's Ty and Court at it. Duo doing it. Second time ever. Wrestling podcast. Justin is officially a father. His son Mason did arrive on November 15th, the airing of our last episode, which was the same day as my mom's birthday. So congratulations to Justin, Maria, and little Mason on his arrival to the world. It's exciting. We have another real Mark in the making as he grows up. He will probably be BBB. Wow. A big wrestling fan, just like his dad. But Court and I going at it as a tag team one more time. And I want to start off with the question for Court. It is Cody Rhodes related, and that is, how do you feel that Cody's probably being kept out of this War Games match? Are you happy he's away from Bloodline? Do you think it could have benefited him more from being in it? What are your actual thoughts on Cody getting the axe of the situation?
I'm fine with it. I think that, we spoke about it last week that, it could have been 4-on-4. They really didn't need to make it 5-on-5. I think that was a little stupid. I think Cody is doing his own thing, getting away from the Roman and the Bloodline stuff, and that's fine with me. They could circle back to it at any point. There's so much history there that he doesn't need to be involved right now. He's got other things going on. He cut a hell of a promo on Friday about Kevin Owens and the situation that is going on between the two of them and Randy. I think that's where his focus is, and that's where it should be. If they needed to and they plugged him in, it would work because of the history, like I said. But I'm fine with him not being involved. Keep him out of it. Keep him focused on his story with Kevin and Randy and, the outcome of that. It's kind of weird. The Survivor Series card is kind of weird. It's kind of bare right now. I don't think we have anything confirmed except the War Games matches. And that's a little weird to me because it's such a big, it's one of the big four and premium live event wise. But I'm okay with Cody being left off of it. Let the Bloodline thing do the Bloodline thing and keep Cody on the Kevin Owens thing. I think that has so much potential. It's such a different, story for Cody because he's been so involved with the Bloodline for 2 years now, and let the War Games match be the War Games match and keep Cody doing his thing. So I'm okay with it. Like I said, I'm sure he's going to be involved somehow in the pay-per-view. There's still a lot of moving pieces there. So as long as he's on the show, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we spoke about this a little bit about, The Rock saying he's not around for WrestleMania, which should be a throw. But do you think that maybe it's better off that they push anything with Cody Roman or Cody Rock or even Rock Roman at this time for this WrestleMania and move forward with something else? Because if The Rock isn't around, right, and I would love to see him show up at Survivor Series after the match, whether it's screwing over the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline in this War Games match, or even like becoming the figurehead, I think that would make great story. But then I think that really leads us into that maybe Cody Randy story if they want to go full force with Roman Rock, because I think that'll keep the title longer on Cody as well. I mean, if they're going to circle past WrestleMania and have Cody as champ and they still want that Cody Roman matchup for a WrestleMania to do the rubber match, then you got to keep that title on him for another year.
Yeah, I think that The Rock saying that he won't be around is totally a smokescreen. I think we've spoken about it in the past. I think that they are leading more towards Rock Roman and keeping Cody, in his own corner, doing, the Kevin stuff, the Randy stuff. I'd prefer that. Like you said, it will elongate his title reign, most likely, unless, something was to happen with Randy or Kevin or anything else. But I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with not having Rock Cody. I think Rock Roman is fine. As long as Cody has a meaningful, serious story at WrestleMania, and that's the way that it seems to be rolling. I know we're only in November, but like we said, Triple H is, always 10 steps ahead. So I'm ready to follow whatever he has planned, whatever the future holds is cool with me.
Yeah, and speaking of Triple H and his vision, he showed up. I forget where it was, but Travis Scott was doing concert, and you hear the music pop up, and he's handing the new WWE Hardcore Championship to the now self-proclaimed the new Cactus Jack of Travis Scott. Do you think it's weird that they're bringing back the Hardcore Championship? Because we had the PG era version of the 24/7 Championship, and now with 3 hours of Raw, they're deciding to bring back the Hardcore Championship, which means they have a vision for Raw on Netflix, which is definitely not PG if they're going to bring back the Hardcore Championship, especially because there's only so much you can do with hardcore matches if it is going to be PG. So I feel like they are going to go full force with this TV 13 or whatever it may be. But I don't think, like, in my opinion, I don't think they really need this title that gets tossed around. I think the 24/7 Championship was, like, kind of, for me, the headstone on the grave site, because why are you wasting 5-10 minutes on a championship that's just getting passed around so quickly? And maybe, they give it the prestige it did when it was the Attitude Era, but I don't know if we really need that. I think in this era, I like the focus on the stories and the characters instead of, like, this title just getting flung around, even if it's with Hardcore Worlds or the Hardcore, the title rules that they had.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it does have to do with, upping the rating from PG to TV 13, like you said, or TV 14, whatever it is now. Excuse me. And I think that there is kind of that 3-hour thing where we said there's no commercials. They're going to have more segments. I feel like that could be a very segmenty title. Like you said, it could be like I don't know how they're going to do it. Like you said, I don't know if it could be like the 24/7 Championship was kind of a joke. It was just kind of a time filler. And, or are they going to have like an actual hardcore, like you said, Attitude Era style, championship? It'll be interesting as long as they don't, like, oversaturate the show with, like, stupid segments or, like, stuff that you could tell is just there for filibuster or just to, keep people entertained with the no commercials because of Netflix. It'll be interesting. We talked about it with the women, adding the United States Championship. So, like, why the hardcore? Like, it just seems random. And like I said, it could be a segment thing to fill time because we've seen it in the 2-hour rule where things are kind of on top of each other. We're going to have the opposite effect when we get the 3 hours back and no commercials, which is really like, it's really like legitimately 3 hours instead of like 2:20 or 2:30 or whatever it is with commercials. So you're going to need to fill that somehow, but it'll be interesting. I hope that they do it right. And we've said before, we trust Triple H. We think that he knows what he's doing, and he's proven that. So he's got a vision. See how it goes. If it doesn't go well, scrap it. It's not going to break anyone's heart that you take it away again, in my opinion.
Yeah, but for me, I'd rather see the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship get announced instead of the Hardcore Championship. And the way I would want to see that Hardcore Championship portrayed, they did it very little with the 24/7 Championship. It's supposed to be defended any moment, any time. Hardcore rules. You can lose it in the street, backstage, in the ring, in the rafters, literally anywhere, the bathroom. I would love that to be on social media everywhere. You don't have to have titles change all the time, but, like, so get some, wrestling creators on TikTok or YouTube or something, and, have them live. And then in the background, you just see, I don't know, Chad Gable, who is the current, hardcore champion, walking around with the Creed brothers. And then you have the Wyatt Six come and jump him to try and pin him for this is just a hypothetical. I don't want the Wyatt Six going after the hardcore championship. That would be ridiculous and dumb. But like, I would like that to happen. Like, have that in the background and things. Have it in the forefront of your social media. Like, I think if you do it that way, I think it would be more fun for people to tune in different ways than just like having it as a segment all the time on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that would be cool. Do they still have the Speed Championship, by the way?
Yeah, they have the woman. They have the women's speech.
I saw they have a women's one now. I haven't heard about it in a second, but yeah, that would be interesting if you like incorporate it more socially, because it is, like you said, it can be defended anywhere, anytime, any place.
Yeah.
You know, someone just shows up and boom, it's on the line. So you could do it that way, and maybe they will. Like, you can see they're definitely smart to social media as a source. You know, they went on TikTok and they're banning creators from live reacting because they want the views on their socials. So they know that, like, if we can get a WWE page with a creator on it, and then you have them in the background or something, yeah, that could definitely work. You're right, though. I would rather see the Women's Intercontinental Championship brought back. It's kind of strange that they haven't said anything. Like, I don't know. So is like the United States Championship going to be both brands? Doesn't seem that way. Seems like just a SmackDown title. So
yeah, it's weird that they're not even saying anything. And like, if you were gonna make it a dual brand championship, why name it the United States Championship? The United States Championship in this era is dedicated to Friday Night SmackDown. So in my eyes, that's where it would stay for the women too. But again, this has been very hush hush. I think they're still deciding what to do with it. Honestly, I think that's why they haven't announced a WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship yet, because maybe they are poking around the idea of having it cross-branded. But to me, if Raw is going to be a distinct 3 hours, just give the title, like, make it, give it to someone. I think there's so much potential. I don't know. We have 3 hours to fill on both these shows. We talked about this last week, but like, I want to see champions get highlighted. I want to see superstars get highlighted. The women deserve it, and I think they need it too. And that women's roster is stacked, especially when they start bringing more from NXT over, because that roster is stacked. So I would much rather just see a women's Intercontinental champion than a hardcore champion moving forward.
Yeah, and like, when you think of, like, talk about oversaturation, like, of men's titles, it's kind of oversaturated. We just talked about the Speed title, and then, you know, tag titles, IC, US, both world champions. You know, there's almost too much gold. Like, it almost doesn't feel like a prestigious thing if you oversaturate the market. So instead, like you said, the women's division is so stacked, Raw, SmackDown, and especially NXT. You're going to have to start rolling these people up, and you need to give them something to fight for that's not just that one championship. So I think it's only a matter of time till they announce a women's championship. But then think of, you know, who's getting the short end of the stick. Is it going to be the women? Is it going to be the hardcore title? Is it going to be, you know, the Intercontinental Championship for the men? Like, which I don't think so, because they've featured that a lot recently. It's been very, you know, welly produced and defended as of late, and really, you know, really in the center of the spotlight where it should be. But where do you draw the line? Who gets the short end of the stick and who gets cut, and who, you know, they're going to have to figure out that 3 hour formula, like, right away.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some learning curve and stuff, but in my eyes, like, if you look at this Raw that was this past Monday, they kind of just like meshed all the women together for this War Games match. So 10 of the women are not even getting like highlighted. You know, they are, because they're in this Match Survivor Series, but there's no singles matches. There's no title matches. There's no significant feud besides what we're getting with the main championships for the women. And so, like, they are kind of getting shafted at this moment, because the other thing that included women in Raw was a mixed gender tag team match between Rey and Zelina and Chad Gable and Ivy Nile. And like, to me, Zelina and Ivy could both benefit from a women's Intercontinental Championship. I think they're both hard workers. I think they deserve it. They're not putting them on the main event side of it yet, because you have Rhea Ripley, you have Liv Morgan. You know, they're the staple right now for the main stage of the women's, you know, Raw Women's Championship. And then I think we saw Becky Lynch might be getting a deal. So then if she's coming back, she's going to be at the forefront too. So like superstars like Zelina, like Ivy, that kind of just get used as fodder for champions can actually have something to strive for and even, really cement themselves as a champion to then push up to become, women's world or WWE champion.
Yeah, it's important to develop, these characters and these women. I don't know why they wouldn't, we've spoken about in the past, why it hasn't been a thing until now anyway with the mid-card women's championship. And I think that if you do it on SmackDown, it makes no sense to not have it on Raw. And like we said, it could be cross-branded, but that still kind of shrinks the ability to get the best out of that championship. You can't constantly have fatal four-ways, and you can't have triple threats constantly.
Well, look what they're doing with the women's tag team championship.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's an absolute mess. And they're having people defend it more, but there's no real, especially for the women, there's no real tag teams in that division. They're not really promoting that, and then there's really no time for these feuds to happen. They're just throwing them in these fatal fours or these triple threats and stuff. There's no fleshing out of these feuds with Bianca and Jade Cargill. It's just, to me, I feel like a good feud for them on one brand to start, and then I feel like showcasing them on both brands just to defend the titles for no reason just doesn't do anything. I feel like that's like the AEW way, and I think they need to have them on SmackDown for a month or two with a program with the team, and then have them, feud on Raw or something with another team that's on Raw. It just, there's ways that it can be done, but it still feels to me like the women are still getting shafted. And yes, they're definitely getting more opportunities. They're main eventing. They're opening the show. They're, they're really getting showcased, but that's only 2% of the women on the roster. The rest are still clawing for a spot, and all the men are getting these spots instead.
Yeah, and it's true. The women's tag team matches have felt literally just, okay, we're just going to throw two teams at you that we just kind of made up of our top of our heads, and this is who you're going to face. And it's, they have chemistry because it's two heels and it's two baby faces. Okay, yeah. That's it. They're a tag team. Like you said, put them on SmackDown for a month. Let them feud with a developed team, and then on Raw, you could have a team developing to, eventually get to that level where they can call out the women's world tag team champions. You have to, it's so confusing to me how well it's done with the men and how bad it's done with the women, because it's the same formula. It's just a different sex. You have the same roster.
Exactly, yeah.
You have the same amount of, maybe there's a little more men, but you have so many women, especially if you pull up the NXT talent, which is just, overflowing with talented women. Just put it together. Just take a minute. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be defended every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, constantly on the line. Let it happen organically and let teams actually develop, because no one feels like a threat to them right now, because there's no teams.
There's no competition.
Yeah, there's no, design tag teams for women. So let a couple tag teams come together and eventually it'll just flow.
The funny thing is, the only other women's, I'll say in air quotes, tag teams that there are deal with the women's main champions on both Raw and SmackDown. You got Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and you got Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Those are the only actual teams that are being showcased on WWE television that are women.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing you could do is to make them double champs, because then you really, really pinhole yourself, because how can you have the champion lose the tag title and still be, the world champion? There's times where it works. We've seen it in the past with the men, with Cena and Shawn and blah, blah, blah. But you can't, you just have to put the effort into just creating a story for these teams and creating some kind of care. It's confusing, because it's just right. It's all right there for you. Just take a minute to look at it instead of skimming the page and, flipping it over.
Yeah, and if you look at and the funny thing is, look at what Shawn Michaels is doing at NXT. half this past card on Tuesday was women. Like he's distributing the time proportionally to both the men and the women. I'm looking at it right now because I'm not remembering, but Roxanne Perez cut a promo. There was 2 Iron Woman qualifying Iron Survivor qualifying matches. You had Jada Parker and Stephanie Bakir, and you had Zarya and Ren Sinclair. Like those are, and then I think there was another segment with one of the women. I'm blanking out, but that's 4 singles, right? Single style matches or feuds or segments that are dedicated to the women. So like Sean and Hunter are buddies. Like I feel like Sean's got the recipe, and Triple H maybe got a copy off him a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a little harder when you have Raw and SmackDown, and you're doing a bunch of things off camera and all that stuff, and you're thinking so far ahead, and Sean's got the one show, but like, just take a minute. It feels very rushed. The women's like tag team division, well, lack of division, feels like very rushed. It just feels like, okay, we need them to be on TV, we need them to be featured, but we're just gonna throw everything's a championship match. There's not gonna be any singles match. There's never gonna be any regular tag team matches to build the team up. It's it's such a simple fix. Well, in our eyes, it is, but it's just put the time in and it'll work.
I would love to see like the numbers. Maybe we don't. There's something we don't see, but I feel like this day and age, I feel like there's a lot of eyes on the women's division in WWE. I think they're also so freaking talented. So I can't see. It wasn't like back in the day when we were younger and it was like Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler trying to wrestle, and it was like, all right, I'm good. Like, where's Trish versus Lita? Where's Jackie? Like, and where's like Molly Holly? Like when they wrestled each other, it was great, but then when you tried to bring in these more diva style women, it wasn't great. And to give a shout out to our Taboo Tuesday Into the Vault 2004, like we spoke about it. Those matches were awful. Like they tried to make, what was it, the pillow fight? Like a
lingerie pillow fight?
And they like had a pin in it or something, and they were trying to like half wrestle, half pillow fight. Like it was garbage. And like that's why like back in the day, like they weren't showcased because it wasn't handled properly. The only time people watch was when you had the the lingerie pillow fights or the bra and panties matches, because that's what all the horny guys wanted. And that was on TV, and that's what got their eyes on the women's, matches. But if they took the time and actually developed what we have now back then, who knows where we'd be with, women's wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the talent is there. The talent is everywhere. I mean, we don't have it in front of us, but you can just go down the women's roster from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and it's massive. And especially with the 3 hours on both shows now, you should have time to develop, both for the new Women's United States Championship and for the tag teams. You have that time to develop people as characters. That's one of the really great things about getting 3 hours on both shows. You have more time to, it's not just, oh, okay, this is a heel, this is a baby face, they're going to wrestle. It's like, okay, this one hates this one because of a story that we built for the last month, and if they could just focus more on longevity rather than throwing things together to have appropriate amount of women on the card, it would just flow so much better and give you so much more prestige. Like, yeah, Bianca and Jade are the World Tag Team Champions. Who cares? Like, who did they really beat? That really mattered besides when they actually won the titles.
Exactly.
It just feels like everything they've done is just a fallout of being champion. They just face people with no rhyme or reason.
And it's crazy because like when Damage Control had the titles heading to WrestleMania, like they were, even though they didn't have, these set in stone tag teams all the time to face, at least they had the faction behind them, the story going on. They had the WWE Women's Champion on their side. Like, it made it matter more. But now it's just like who can Bianca and Jade beat up now? Who, or who can they lay waste to and then move on and see what happens next?
Yeah, and honestly, that tag team feels very
Forced
and not organic to me either. But like that's what we have, so that's what you have to deal with. But
Yeah.
they just don't. They were just threw them together, with Naomi when Jade debuted at WrestleMania. No, whenever the three of them started together. But it's like, okay, split them, get a new tag team in there, and then from there you can work to get other tag teams involved. Because 100%. I just feel like it's just not working.
Bro, I would love Jade to just start getting it like not jealous, but like annoyed with Naomi, like take her out and like have some rift between her and Bianca, and then have Jade turn on Bianca during a title defense for some up and coming women's tag, definite, like not just thrown together tag team, but defined women's tag team, and just start that feud. I think it'd be amazing. I think that can go for either both the United States Women's Championship or even the WWE Women's Championship. I think that could be an amazing feud for those two to have. And Jade's definitely getting better. She's definitely not as green as she was in the original tag team matches that her and Bianca were having. Mm-hmm. She's definitely improving. So I definitely think there's a time where you need to like not hold her hand and just let her do what she needs to. And, if she falls, she falls. But I think you got to sometimes, just pull the trigger and see what happens.
Yeah, like take the bubble wrap off. Like it's either sink or swim time. And if she sinks, I'm sure she'll be able to pull herself back up. Exactly. That's how you learn. That's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. She was a good heel in AEW, and she could be a great heel here. She has the mic skills. Like you said, her wrestling skills are getting better. I know she's trying and training and working at it, and that's fine. And she's had these tag matches. She's had the experience in the ring, on television, off television, to work. So now I think is the right time to pull that trigger, take the bubble wrap off, and let a feud develop. And thus you get new tag team champions. And then from there, you can build the division around whatever new team that may be.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's, especially with the United States champion, women's United States championship, and hopefully an Intercontinental Women's Championship, there's room for, you said they could feud for the world championship. Absolutely. But if they need that step up to US, You could do that as well.
Yeah, I think Jade's going to be a monster moving forward, and make her, United States Women's Champion or Women's United States Champion. And I think the feud between her and Bianca would be tremendous. I think that would, like you said, Court, I agree with you. I think that's where you would go first, especially for a stepping stone for Jade. But who would you want to be the first Women's United States Champion?
Are we looking in like the tournament? Like,
if you could choose any deserving woman to be the first ever Women's United States Champion, who would you pull the trigger on?
I mean, like we said, Jade would be a good example, but right now that's not in the cards. I think Chelsea Green really is the right answer there. I have a feeling they're going to go with someone more established, like a Bayley. But Chelsea Green is ready. She's over. She's, got the character, got the in-ring work, got the promo. It's all firing right now. So she'd be the perfect one, and it would really elevate her to a status that gives her some, ground to stand on. It's not just like, oh, she lost in this ridiculous way, or she, eliminated herself from something, or, she would have more of, okay, I won that tournament. I'm the first ever, WWE United States Women's Champion. And you put respect on my name. So I'll go with Chelsea Green, or like I said, it's not in the cards right now, but I could see Jade for sure. It definitely fits.
Yeah, to me, I feel like Bayley would be the easy way out, but I don't want that. I think about when Carmella won the Money in the Bank, the Women's Money in the Bank. I think she was the first ever, right? I'm blanking out, but I think she won the first one.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But like to me, like they took a chance on her, and I think it worked so well for Carmella. I think I loved her championship reign, especially with what's his face?
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. Yeah, like
Yeah.
to me, I think that you got to give it to someone who's put the time in, who's up and coming, and not someone who's already established. Because would Bayley make a fantastic United States champion, the first women's United States champion? 100%. But we know Bayley. She's established. She should be just in that world title caliber realm. And yeah, she's not in that story right now. So yeah, maybe it works, and maybe you want someone like that carrying the torch in the beginning. But I'm more of a fan of pulling the trigger on someone who hasn't touched that championship gold yet, who can really shine. And she even has, the bodyguard of Piper Niven next to her. We had, in my example before with Carmella, she had James Ellsworth. In this instance, Chelsea Green's got Piper Niven. If you don't want her to, win clean over some of this top competition, you can always have Piper interfere to keep her reign going. So I think that, to me, that would be the best decision as well.
Yeah, it like I said, it might go to Bayley. Then maybe from there we get someone like a Chelsea or, anyone coming up from the ranks. But they might just throw it on Bayley just for the safety of it. Like, this is the safe answer. But I hope that they swerve it. I hope that they give it to, like you said, a young up and coming, someone who needs it. It's like when Brock beat Taker.
Yeah.
Brock didn't need that.
No.
It would have been so much better on someone who needed it. So you really want to give it to someone who, it's not just another feather in Bayley's cap. It would be like the cap for Chelsea Green. You know what I mean? So we'll just see where they go with it, but a lot of opportunity there.
And the thing is with Chelsea Green is like, not only is she putting the work on screen, like she's all over social media posting things. Like she's on all these trends doing, I don't know if you've seen the TikTok trend recently where like, there's like a text and you're like, oh, this, and this, and this would be great. And then you like accidentally flips behind and shows the person. Like she did that with the United States Women's Championship. Mm-hmm. She was on, I forget what flight, and they, announced that she was on it and all this stuff. Like she's out there not only like putting the work on television, but she's going out of the way and making a name for herself and putting it out there about her on social media. And I think that speaks volumes for her and her character.
Yeah, she gets it. She knows that it's the year is 2024, and it's not just what you do on television. It's not just what story you're involved in. You have to take the reins and promote yourself and keep yourself in front of the fans, every other day that you're not on television. So she gets it. The plane video was great.
That's amazing.
It was so good.
When I think of it, just like in this day and age with social media, one video is all you need to go viral. So if she posts a video that goes viral and then you have millions of people who don't watch wrestling come across this viral video, click on her and be like, oh, she's pretty funny. Oh, she's a WWE superstar. When is it? She's on, SmackDown. Let me go check her out. Let's see what she's about. And that draws people in. And maybe, they don't watch SmackDown or Raw full time, but they'll watch for Chelsea. They'll see her clips. They'll go to her TikTok or her Twitter or her any social media she has and interact with her and watch her content, and it'll just promote, her merchandise and stuff more. And to me, I think that's super valuable, and it's the way of the business now and your future. And in WWE, always, all these superstars are under contract and for their character. And in this day and age, you're all about building your brand on social media, and that's what she's doing. And I think she should get rewarded for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that, it's kind of like back in the day when like a wrestling segment would like get picked up by like the morning news. Like that's how back in the day it worked. But now you have the ability to create your own hype. You can make something go viral, and then boom, even if they watch one clip, and then if they say, oh, like, look, this is like hilarious. Check out this girl. She's actually a wrestler and she did this and she's going for the championship and, all that. You get, 10 people, you show it to 10 people, maybe 2 watch. That's how you grow your brand and your naming. And she gets it. And someone like that who works as hard as she does, I think really deserves that chip, that pat on the back. Like, okay, you worked so hard. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be my 2 picks would be Jade and Chelsea Green. I also think that Natalya should definitely get a run as women's US champion. She's put in so much time and effort, even into like teaching women in the next generation of women, that like at least as a nod, like if you're not going to put her in that world championship realm, like at least give her a run for the US championship.
Yeah, like when she came out, what was it, a couple weeks ago, when she was like the surprise entrant for the match, people were all mad about it. Natalya's worked forever. She's been steady. She's always there, always reliable. I would love to see her have a run as US champ. That's another really deserving name. Again, doesn't necessarily need it, but it would work. And you could help grow that young talent beneath her because she's so knowledgeable and she's already helping them outside the ring. Her and TJ with the dungeon. And it's a perfect segue to give them, okay, you beat Natalya. That's big. She was, women's champion for, I don't know how many times, but a real name,
Yeah.
So I'm on board.
And to me,
with that.
I could see her as like the John Cena United States champion, like every week the US Open Challenge, and like putting on these clinics with these up and comers, and then you get that random like shocking win to like an up and comer who like you didn't expect it, but like puts in the time, can work, and really deserves the opportunity.
Oh yeah, totally. And you could. That's how these women get discovered. Well, any wrestler gets discovered. You have an open challenge. I mean, look at John Cena when he came out to Kurt Angle's thing 20 years ago. Like if that never happened, we would have no Super Cena.
How about like Paige and AJ Lee?
Paige and AJ Lee, yeah. Forgot about that one too. There's many opportunities there to build, and that's what you have to do. You can't just throw these women in random matches and expect people to care. You have to build them up a little bit. You have to give them some substance.
Yeah. We just went in on women's wrestling.
We did.
We started with Cody, and then it went full women's wrestling this entire podcast. I'm
pretty proud of us. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
We had no game plan, just so everyone knows. None.
I had a this week in wrestling pop up. I can give a few as a little segment before we wrap up, because I think we just went 40 minutes just hardcore, like women's wrestling back to back to back. It's just an exciting time, especially with the potential first women's United States champion. But let's see what I get here. We'll do a.
These make me nervous. Like I was
I'm not gonna ask any questions today. Everyone laughs that I stumped you guys, but it's not really to stump you guys. It's more of like.
No, I enjoy the questions. It's just they're just harder than they sound.
All right, you ready for this first one?
I'm ready.
November 22nd, 2016, SmackDown from Ottawa. James Ellsworth defeated then WWE champion AJ Styles in a ladder match for a SmackDown Live contract.
James Ellsworth. He got a couple name drops today.
Yeah, he did.
That's so funny.
That's why once I saw that, I had to.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, absolutely. 2016. Wow.
Let's see. Then we have, this is a good one. 2015. The vacant WWE title was decided in a tournament at the Survivor Series in Atlanta, Georgia. Roman Reigns defeated Dean Ambrose to win the WWE title for the very first time. And then he lost it to who mere seconds later after a cash-in?
Seth. Damn it. I was
Sheamus.
So confident.
Come on, man.
So confident.
Seth only cashed in on him once. It was a WrestleMania.
That was right, yeah. Was that when the Shield?
Mohawk Sheamus came in and...
Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of when the Shield all held the title the same night. That was WrestleMania, right?
Well, that was when Dean Ambrose cashed in.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was that SummerSlam, I think?
It was a Big Four. It was a Big Four pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was SummerSlam. It was Seth versus Seth versus Roman.
And Dean.
I think Roman was the champion. I think Seth won, and then Dean cashed in and walked away with it.
Yeah, that's right. That was a cool moment. So that's where my brain went. Sorry, Sheamus.
Sorry, Sheamus. You and your mohawk didn't do the thing. And I'll got one more before we wrap up this episode. November 22nd, 2010, Monday Night Raw. The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to defeat who for the WWE Championship?
Cena?
Randy Orton. Remember he was injured in his leg after his match with Wade? Flipping around. Miz came out, took advantage, did his thing.
Yep. I'm thinking of Cena because he faced Cena at that WrestleMania, I think, that year.
Yeah, I think you're right as well.
Because that was WrestleMania 27, which I think was Cody and Rhett. Everything goes by Cody in my brain.
Everything is Cody timeline.
No, those are some good ones.
Yeah.
Again, it's not me. Made me look stupid.
It's all right.
It's
I
fine.
mean, when it comes to dates, it's more for me. It's more the dates that would be confusing. I think I'd be like focusing too much on the timeline than the actual like happenings of what happened in that match or that segment.
Yeah, like when you say like 2010, I'm like, all right, so I was in Westchester. Okay. And
Yeah.
then, like, you try,
Yeah.
like you try to like piece together where you were in life, and you're like, okay, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Give us your thoughts on women's wrestling, the future of, the past, the current state of women's wrestling. Who do you want to see as the first ever WWE Women's United States Champion? Let us know. Comment on our socials at Real Marks of Long Island, and we will catch you on the next one. Real Marks out.
Peace.